4 men have been indicted on charges related to the murder on West Washington Street. The nation is uniting to celebrate the life of former President George H.W. Bush. And in sports, Ohio basketball could have a historic night. Newswatch starts right now.
Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens, this is Newswatch.
Several men are being held at the Southeast Ohio Regional Jail while they await arraignment for last week's murder on West Washington Street. Good evening, I'm Ben Schwartz. Thanks for joining us. A grand jury has indicted 4 of 5 men connected with last week's shooting on the west side of Athens. 18-year-old Michael Allen Russell, 28-year-old Troy Vermillion, 23-year-old Bernard Mitchell, and 26-year-old Robert Martin were indicted on murder and involuntary manslaughter charges today. This comes after a 5th man, 23-year-old Jonathan McLaughlin, pleaded guilty yesterday to a number of charges. Prosecutors say McLaughlin, Mitchell, and Russell went to the apartment at 221 West Washington Street on Sunday morning to demand payment for meth sold earlier to 55-year-old Charles Duncan Sr. According to the indictment, Mitchell began kicking the door of the apartment, and then a short time later, Russell fired a single gunshot through the door, hitting and killing Duncan. Prosecutors say all the men were involved in drug activity. They will be arraigned a week from today. A house fire near Dairy Queen in Athens is being investigated. The Athens and the Plains fire departments fought the blaze on North Lancaster for about 3 hours. A dog and 3 cats in the home died. According to the county auditor, the home is owned by Mark and Ellen Crowdle. The fire appears to have burned the home's upper floors. A portion of the roof is caved in, and there are signs that fire came through one of the top floor windows. There's no word on what started the fire. Stay tuned to WOUB.org or WOUB-FM for updates. Several police departments in Southeast Ohio are receiving awards from AAA. The roadside assistance company honored police departments for their efforts to increase road safety for drivers. Top awards were given to commendable leaders in Belpre, Marietta, and Washington counties. Ohio Highway Patrol posts in Athens and Marietta were also given awards. AAA gave the second highest award to the Marietta College Police Department. The award ceremony took place today.
Welcome to the Newswatch Weather Center. I'm forecaster Michaela Gress. Overall today, we did see those temperatures. They were a lot cooler than what we have been seeing for the past couple of days, and we did see some flurries early on in the morning. They did stick to the ground, but now they've melted away since there is rain in the forecast. But currently, we're looking at 32 degrees. It is cold outside, so make sure that you do have that heavy jacket with you. Those winds are coming out of the west-southwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Now across the region, we're seeing pretty much the same story. We are seeing those lower 30s for most of the viewing area. Cloudy conditions. So we're seeing 33 down in Ripley, 31 over in Chillicothe, 31 up in Newark, and 33 over in Marietta. So overall, very cold outside. So if you are out and about right now, make sure that you do have that heavy winter jacket with you as you go throughout the night tonight. Coming up in my full forecast, we will be talking about the sun that may come in for the weekend ahead, Ben, so make sure that you are prepared for that sun.
Thank you, Michaela. Unmanned drones in Ohio will soon have an air traffic control system dedicated to aircraft flying below 2,000 feet. The initiative is called Fly Ohio and is being run by Drive Ohio, the state's Center for Unmanned Vehicles, in partnership with the Ohio Unmanned Aircraft Systems Center. The first step in creating the air traffic control system will come at the Springfield-Beckley Municipal Airport in Clark County, with plans for a second station which would monitor a 35-mile stretch of highway between Dublin and East Liberty. Ohio counties are being given a total of $104.5 million to purchase new voting machines in time for the 2020 election. Secretary of State John Husted said current voting machines outdate the first iPhone. The state has awarded contracts to 5 voting system vendors, and county boards of elections will be able to select their equipment from the available vendors. Ohio Senators Rob Portman and Sherrod Brown, along with Congressman Tim Ryan, are planning to meet with the head of General Motors today in hopes of keeping a northeastern Ohio assembly plant from closing. GM announced last week that it will stop making the Chevy Cruze at the Lordstown, Ohio plant by March and is considering closing the plant for good. Around 1,500 people currently work at the plant, with 3,000 employees already laid off since the beginning of 2017. The search continues for a dog that went missing following a car crash that left 3 members of the same family dead. Molly Lair reports.
Donning orange vests, search crews hit the streets and fields of Bethel, Ohio, calling out to the missing dog.
Ellie girl! Ellie!
Ellie was the only survivor in a crash that claimed the lives of Robert Moeller, Nick Moeller, and 10-year-old Cameron Moeller.
The dog was found laying on top of the little boy Cameron, and when the first responders came, it spooked Ellie and she ran away.
Ellie has now been missing a week. As the tragic story spread, so did the desire to help.
We had a call last night at 5 o'clock. They explained about the accident and the terrible family loss. And I have quite a few children. I have 8 adopted kids, and my heart is breaking for them. And I thought the least we could do is come out and help.
Jim Burns is a pet detective. He donated his time and 2 dogs to the search.
So we're real hopeful that Ellie's still in the area and we're going to find her.
Cameron's mother, Ashley, brought clothing for the dogs to smell and track. In the cold and mud, these volunteers are determined to bring Ellie home.
Hopefully with enough exposure we can find that dog. It's the least we can do because we can't bring him back, but we can maybe help console Ashley with Ellie.
Ellie has been spotted around town, some say with a limp. Katie Baker says she knows how much the 4-year-old blue heeler means to Ashley.
This morning she said, if you can bring this dog back, I'm never going to let the dog go.
Former Cuyahoga County Judge Lance Mason has pleaded not guilty in the fatal stabbing of his ex-wife. His bail was set yesterday at $5 million. Mason's sister called 911 on November 17th and told a dispatcher that he stabbed his wife, Asia Frazier. Mason was arrested after crashing his car into a police cruiser while fleeing the scene. The nation continues to mourn the loss of 41st President George H.W. Bush. And lawmakers are speaking out after being briefed on the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
WOUB is member-supported public television. Your contribution keeps WOUB available in your community. Become a member with a gift of $60 or more for access to stream more than 1,000 of your favorite PBS programs through WOUB Passport. Programs like Nature, Sherlock, and all episodes of Downton Abbey and Victoria. Pledge now at WOUB.org. And thank you.
This is a box that showed you a world beyond your own. It was just a box, but the world has changed, and so have we. And now the box can be almost any size or shape. And you decide what you want to explore. Anytime, any place. Break out of the box with PBS.
I'm such a huge fan of PBS. For my entire life, it's been our window into a world of the arts that isn't available anywhere else on TV. We learn about our numbers and our letters and singing through music, through the incredible children's programming they have. And then we grow up and we get to see world of the arts, whether it's ballet or opera or Broadway, and so many other amazing moments that you wouldn't get anywhere else except for PBS.
I loved Ken Burns' series on the Civil War. It was deeply impacting. I love history. To have those stories told through these letters, through stories of love and loss, it rewrote the book on how to tell a story. When television was invented, there were a lot of people who had dreams about what it could do. I think PBS still aspires for and often succeeds at reaching the highest ideals of what television could be.
The nation and the world said their final goodbyes to the 41st President of the United States. George H.W. Bush was honored Wednesday morning at a state funeral in Washington. Omar Jimenez is at the National Cathedral with the details.
Former President of the United States, George H.W. Bush, is making his final journey back to his adopted home state of Texas. following an emotional farewell from former and current world leaders at the National Cathedral in Washington, including all living and former presidents, as well as President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump.
To us, his was the brightest of 1,000 points of light.
Moving tributes from those who worked with him.
The most decent and honorable person I ever met was my friend George Bush, one of nature's noble men.
Those who understand the legacy he leaves behind.
I believe it will be said that no occupant of the Oval Office was more courageous, more principled, and more honorable than George Herbert Walker Bush.
And from his son.
Through our tears, let us know the blessings of knowing and loving you, a great and noble man, the best father a son or daughter could have. And in our grief, let us smile knowing that Dad is hugging Robin and holding Mom's hand again.
I'm Camila Bernal.
Government offices, post offices, and the stock market will reopen tomorrow after being closed today for a national day of mourning. Cuba is one of the least connected countries in the world in terms of internet, according to Freedom House, a U.S. government-funded NGO. But that is changing. Cubans will soon have full internet access on cell phones. It was announced on state TV by Cuba's state-run telecommunications company. Connectivity will cost upwards of $7 for 600 megabytes. It's a high cost for a country where the average monthly salary is a little more than $20. Lawmakers were briefed yesterday on the murder and dismemberment of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi, and some are calling Mohammed bin Salman complicit in the killing. Following a briefing with CIA's director, Jim Acosta reports.
After CIA Director Gina Haspel briefed a small group of senators on the killing of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi, top Republicans declared the evidence is crystal clear that the kingdom's crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman, is behind the gruesome murder. Senator Lindsey Graham pointed to the killer's use of a bone saw to dismember Khashoggi's body.
There's not a smoking gun, there's a smoking saw. You have to be willfully blind not to come to the conclusion that this was orchestrated and organized by people under the command of MBS, and that he was intricately involved in the demise of Mr. Khashoggi.
An open and shut case, said Senator Bob Corker.
I have zero question in my mind that the Crown Prince, MBS, ordered the killing, monitored the killing, knew exactly what was happening, planned it in advance. If he was in front of a jury, he would be convicted in 30 minutes, guilty.
Another Republican senator, John Kennedy, was outraged the briefing was limited to a select number of lawmakers.
My only point is that by the director choosing to meet with some but not others, congratulations to her, she's pissed off everybody.
The fury from fellow Republicans stands in stark contrast with the White House.
Maybe he did, maybe he didn't.
Where top officials, including National Security Advisor John Bolton, are saying not so fast.
Secretary Pompeo and Secretary Mattis both said without qualification they have read all the intelligence, as have I, and they didn't see anything that justified that conclusion. So, we will continue to look. Additional evidence is always possible that it will come up, but that's where it stands.
The Khashoggi case is hardly the only battle for the president, who picked up some family support after praising former advisor Roger Stone in the Russia investigation. The president complimented Stone in a tweet for saying, "I will never testify against Trump," adding, "Nice to know that some people still have guts." In response, D.C. attorney and husband of White House counselor Kellyanne Conway, George Conway, tweeted the criminal code for witness tampering. That prompted a nasty tweet from the president's son, Eric Trump, who said, "Of all the ugliness in politics, the utter disrespect George Conway shows toward his wife, her career, place of work, and everything she has fought so hard to achieve might top them all." The Trump family, it seems, has had enough candor from George Conway.
It's like the administration is like a show in a dumpster fire. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't know.
The White House also has its eyes on the stock market after a steep decline due to lingering concerns of a trade war between the U.S. and China. The president tweeted another warning to China, saying, "I am a tariff man." That's despite claims from the White House that Mr. Trump has chemistry with China's president.
I've never seen Xi up close and personal. So at this dinner, I saw real chemistry between the two.
The White House is trying to keep a lid on all of the chaos as the nation honors George H.W. Bush, even as some Bush relatives still remember some of Mr. Trump's attacks on their family.
You know, I'm not going to lie that, it hurts, it stings. But, my grandfather, my uncle, and my dad, if they taught me anything on politics, you get back up and you fight again.
Today, United Nations Human Rights Chief said the Khashoggi murder needs international inquiry. One young boy in Colorado is having a snowball effect. That story is still ahead.
And coming up in my full forecast, we will be talking about the potential for some snow flurries as well as rain tomorrow night, but how that sun will come back in for the weekend forecast. And then we'll be taking a look at your week ahead here on Newswatch.
WOUB is member-supported public television. Your contribution keeps WOUB available in your community. Become a member with a gift of $60 or more for access to stream more than 1,000 of your favorite PBS programs through WOUB Passport. Programs like Nature, Sherlock, and all episodes of Downton Abbey and Victoria. Pledge now at woub.org. And thank you.
I love PBS because at the heart of everything PBS does is education.
I use PBS not only in my home, but also in my classroom.
It's kind of the idea of being the great equalizer for learning and for education.
I'm a lifelong learner, and PBS has always been part of that journey for me.
I love PBS because PBS supports teachers.
They know what works for kids and what's best for kids, and that's why I love PBS.
PBS had a special on Pearl Harbor, and once Landon started watching the show about the Arizona, he completely became fascinated.
That's Donald Stratton, and that's me.
And then his Christmas wish this year was to meet Donald Stratton, one of the survivors from the Arizona.
So good to see you, buddy.
Everything that Landon has learned from PBS, it's immeasurable.
This is for you.
Thank you, big guy.
He is living proof of the effect that PBS has had on his life.
Welcome to the Newswatch Weather Center. I'm forecaster Michaela Gress. Now, overall today, we did see those colder temperatures as well as some flurries early on this morning. However, they weren't around to stay for too long. Now, we're looking currently at 32 degrees. It is cold outside, so if you do plan on going outside, make sure that you do have that heavy jacket with you. Those winds will be coming out of the west-southwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Now, taking a look across the region, we're seeing those temperatures pretty much in the lower 30s for most of the viewing area. We're looking at 33 down in Ironton, 31 up in Newark, and over in Ripley, we're also seeing 31 degrees. So overall, very cold right now. But as we take a look at why we're seeing all this, we're seeing this high pressure system sitting right over towards Dallas. However, you see all these clouds right around our area. But as we go into tonight, it will begin to push off, but we do see this cold front coming right through Chicago. So this cold front is going to stay a little bit tonight. But as we see into tomorrow, it's going to push its way through, and it's going to allow for that potential for some snow flurries into the later afternoon tomorrow. However, they won't stay for long, so make sure that you are prepared for the afternoon hours tomorrow. Now, as we look at tonight across the region, we're seeing those temperatures in the upper 20s for most of the viewing area. Very cold outside, so as I've said, make sure you do have that heavy jacket with you. Now, tonight in Athens alone, we're looking at 25 degrees, mostly cloudy conditions, colder temperatures, and those winds are still coming out of the west-southwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Now, as we're planning your evening tonight, or planning your morning tomorrow, look at 8 a.m., 27 degrees. So if your kids are coming out for the bus stop tomorrow, they will need that heavy jacket as much as they might complain about it. But for noon tomorrow, 37 degrees, Cloudy conditions, and as we see at 4 p.m., those clouds are rolling in. So the common theme is sun in the morning, clouds to begin the afternoon tomorrow. Now for tomorrow, 41 degrees. As I've said, morning sun, afternoon clouds. Those winds are coming out of the southwest at 10 to 15 miles an hour. Now tomorrow across the region, we're seeing those upper 30s and lower 40s for most of the viewing area. As you see, 39 over New Martinsville, 41 here in Athens, 31 up in Newark. So overall, mostly sunny conditions for the viewing area. Now, as we take a look at the 7-day forecast, look at Friday. That sun is going to begin to peek its way back in, and it will stay for Saturday. But as we look at Sunday, 37 degrees. So the clouds will begin to come back in. And as we look into the work week next week, we're seeing Monday at 37 degrees with some rain. Back to the desk.
Thank you, Michaela. A new study is out detailing the birth of the first baby born to a woman with a uterus transplanted from a deceased donor. The history-making delivery happened nearly a year ago. It was detailed in a study published yesterday in the medical journal The Lancet. At least a dozen children worldwide have been born to women with transplanted uteri donated by a living relative, but never one from a deceased donor. The mother was born without a uterus and received the transplant in 2016. Months later, doctors implanted a fertilized egg that had been preserved in vitro. Then on December 15th of last year, a baby girl weighing nearly 6 pounds was delivered via C-section. According to the researchers, neither the mother nor the child have experienced complications or abnormalities. Now let's head over to Nick to see what's ahead in sports.
Hey everyone, I'm Nick Orsini. Now it's only December, but tonight may be the biggest basketball night in Ohio Bobcats history. The men are currently in action against the Xavier Musketeers, so I'll give you a most recent update after the break. Plus, it's Ohio, it's Purdue in the Roundhouse on Richland Avenue. A quick preview of that game before tip-off and much more when Newswatch returns. And stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
This is a box that showed you a world beyond your own. It was just a box, but the world has changed, and so have we. And now the box can be almost any size or shape. And you decide what you want to explore. Anytime, any place. Break out of the box with PBS.
What are you doing?
Possibilities. Your day is filled with them.
Reach up, energy in the fingertips, collapse. TV, play Downton Abbey.
And PBS helps everyone discover theirs. Anytime, anywhere.
Up in the sky, you can see it.
PBS, we're with you for life.
I'm such a huge fan of PBS. For my entire life, it's been our window into a world of the arts that isn't available anywhere else on TV. We learn about our numbers and our letters and singing through music, through the incredible children's programming they have. And then we grow up and we get to see the world of the arts, whether it's ballet or opera or Broadway, and so many other amazing moments that you wouldn't get anywhere else except for PBS.
WOUB is member-supported public television. Your contribution keeps WOUB available in your community. Become a member with a gift of $60 or more for access to stream more than 1,000 of your favorite PBS programs through WOUB Passport. Programs like Nature, Sherlock, and all episodes of Downton Abbey and Victoria. Pledge now at WOUB.org. And thank you.
Welcome back, I'm Nick Orsini. A win over an NCAA tournament team from the previous 3 years, impressive. A win over another NCAA tournament team from last year, Marshall, also impressive. But win over powerhouse Xavier on the road would top them all. The Bobcats are currently in action against the Musketeers. The game is being broadcast on FS1, and as of 6:53, Xavier is up 22-18. The Ohio women's team also has a huge matchup tonight against the Purdue Boilermakers. Ohio is 2-4 all-time against Purdue, with the most recent matchup a 77-71 victory on December 10th, 2017 in West Lafayette, Indiana, going to the Bobcats. Now, Purdue enters tonight with a 6-2 record. The Boilermakers closed out November falling to top-ranked UConn, but took down the Miami Hurricanes 5 days later. Now, Purdue, they've never lost inside the Convocation Center. They currently hold a 3-0 record inside the Convo, and the Bobcats look to break that streak. Tip-off is set for 7 p.m. And some Ohio soccer news. Assistant coach Debs Brereton is taking over the head coaching position at Idaho State. Debs was at Ohio for 3 seasons as the assistant coach to Aaron Rodgers, and Rodgers has some kind words for his former assistant coach, saying he is excited for his friend and fellow coach. Good luck, coach. At 3 games last night in high school basketball, the Warren Warriors took down the Megs Marauders 63-48. Nelsonville York edged the Southern Tornadoes 40-37. Chesapeake defeated the Eastern Eagles 61-34. Now, there's no games tonight, but keep up to date with Hardwood Heroes for all things Southeast Ohio basketball. It's an NBA Finals rematch tonight in the Quick Loans Arena. Kind of. The 5-18 Cavaliers welcome the 16-9 Golden State Warriors. This is the first time in Cleveland for the Warriors since the Warriors raised the championship back in June. And it may be a rematch, but there are a few members of that team who played in June who are not there anymore. Besides LeBron James, J.R. Smith is no longer there. Kevin Love is still recovering from foot surgery, and Kyle Korver and Jeff Green are on other teams. A tip-off is set for 7 p.m. To the ice. The Columbus Blue Jackets and Calgary Flames were involved in one of the strangest hockey games I've ever seen. The final score was 9-6. Yes, you heard me correctly, 9-6. Columbus scored 4 straight goals, but Calgary stormed back with 5 goals in the second period en route to their win. Cam Atkinson had an historic night with a hat trick, and Sergei Bobrovsky started the game but was pulled after allowing 8 goals on 26 shot attempts. The Jackets are back in action tomorrow night against the Flyers. You know what Thursday means, Sports Beat. Tune in tomorrow on 1340 AM WOUB. Host Lucas Moore and Russ Heltman recap Ohio men's and women's basketball games today. Plus, they recap Southeast Ohio football season, plus a way too early look ahead to the 2019 season. And a weekend preview of high school basketball. Jam-packed show tomorrow, and it all goes down on 1340 AM WOUB starting at 6. Well, that's a wrap for me and for sports tonight. I'm Nick Orsini. Ben, back over to you.
Thank you, Nick. A 9-year-old from Colorado gets the town of Severance to lift its snowball fight ban. The Greeley Tribune reports Dane Best stood up to the Severance Town Board and explained why boys and girls should be able to take part in the classic winter activity. Members peppered Best with questions and asked him about safety issues. His 3-minute-long presentation did the trick, and the ban was lifted. Best even had the honor of throwing the first legal snowball since the snowball fight ban, of throwing the first legal snowball. The snowball fight ban was part of a bigger ordinance that halted people from throwing stones and other objects. Michaela, will anyone be able to throw snowballs here this week?
Well, Ben, there is the potential for tomorrow night, but let's take a look at tonight. We're seeing 25 degrees, mostly cloudy conditions. Colder temperatures are in the viewing area for tonight. Now tomorrow we start off in the morning with sun and we lead into a cloudy afternoon, which does bring in that potential for some wintry mix tomorrow night. So maybe there will be some snowballs in the forecast, but as we take a look around the region, we're seeing 41 degrees and 30s for most of the viewing area. Ben?
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great night.